All right, why don't we open the meeting? It's well after 7:09 I have my watch. Can I have just a reminder to folks that the meeting is being recorded, so anything you say or do or express is going to be recorded in perpetuity for all to see. So why don't we get a motion to accept the Secretary's report of November 18th, 2020? I could get that.
So moved.
Cindy, can I get a second?
Second.
Second, Amy. Okay, discussion.
I think there's one thing where Cindy's name was spelled wrong. It's the only thing that,
Oh, sorry about that.
as you should be, Jeff.
Do you see where it was?
I'm looking for I'm trying to pull up the things on my phone so I can not have to go back and forth on my laptop. I want to say it was on page 2.
Yeah.
Under legislative advocacy.
Looks like that.
Okay.
Page 3, page
I've got
4,
it.
actually.
Okay. Okay, we can correct that.
Right. Anybody else? Anything? Only once, twice. No. Okay, so I'm gonna go around the room. All those in favor. Roll call. Cindy.
Yes.
Tim, you're on mute.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Chris,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
Adam,
Yes.
Laura,
Yes.
Susan,
Yes.
and Jeff.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. Can I get a motion to accept the monthly staff reports?
So moved.
All right, Tim, second.
Second.
Amy, thank you. Discussion.
I have a question for Catherine. I see you have a capital request due with DPW on the 8th.
Yeah.
First of all, are we just carrying forward some capital stuff, or is it going to be revisions? Do you know? And do you want to discuss it ahead of time? I'll be glad to discuss it.
I took a brief walk with Dave. This year wasn't funded, so I did expect to put in for the carpet again. That was the only thing we had that wasn't funded. But because it's another year, there might be something else. But it's not vital because we're not finding it off the top of our heads.
Right.
But I assumed that I would be in touch with you, yes, and I'll let you know if there's anything else. But there doesn't seem to be anything that's critical. They already know about the roof. They know about the front plaza. We keep talking about that, and he's aware of it. So it would be a new issue, and nothing else has turned up other than the carpet. So
Okay.
So I'm thinking the carpet and probably the things that we automatically roll forward, which still are not, I don't know, it was like, there's some painting things and things, but those are not even really desperate at this point. And I think that they're for the next year.
Yeah, you're probably not even sure if there's going to be any capital funding, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
We're not.
Okay, well, I would assume we'll prioritize, if we're going to get any capital money, we'll prioritize it with technology, if there is any at all.
The technology is funded separately. That's a separate capital item.
Oh, it is? It's outside the capital budget?
It's outside, it's still capital, but it's technology capital.
Okay,
And
never mind.
at
then.
town meeting, it's part of the capital budget, but that's not what I give to DPW.
Right, yeah, no, I know
He
that.
doesn't take that. So the capital, but that section of the capital has not been requested yet. And that's just the regular rotation. If anything, we would maybe even be cutting back our requests for capital because we have fewer pieces of hardware that we need now. But that's been funded, and that was funded this year. So
Okay.
we're all set with capitals for technology. We're safe.
All right, let me know if you want to go over anything.
I will.
That's it for me.
Kevin, I have a question in your section, and this may just be just a lack of knowledge on my part. In the human resources section
Yep.
about the personnel bylaw versus the employment manual, I don't.
Yes, that's new to everyone. It was new to me. And it's going to be our only new business. It's
Okay.
going to be something we're going to have to vote on, so that we'll talk about it under new business.
Thank you.
Could you give us an update on the website?
We're still plugging along with the website. But I think we're starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. We were sent something today or yesterday that outlines what's left to do and how long they think it will all take. Do you recall what that was, Jackie? Is that like 2 or 3 weeks?
2 or 3 weeks, but that was, I think, assuming that there were no holidays and that there were other components that were completed first. So it's going to be at least a month.
Yeah, we're still a month out, but we are seeing a light at the end of the tunnel, and we've had some questions answered. We still have work ahead of us, but at least the work we have, I have the sense we know what we're doing at this point. It's content. It's there are no more big decisions to be made, I don't think, Jackie.
No.
Yeah, so it's routine now.
How much longer do they, what's the time frame? Do we know?
About a month.
About a month. Okay.
A month, yeah.
All right.
With the roof issues, are you concerned for tomorrow? The snow and
No, but it's because it's usually the wet water, and Dave found what caused that. Sometimes it can be the smallest holes. I mean, it's just like water gets through mesh. So if there's enough water and it's getting all through those little tiny holes, sometimes it just finds its way into a crack. And the roof is old, so it's it has good maintenance, but you get those tiny. We go up and look at it and we don't see anything, but then it rains and you do see that there's it's like a sieve. But he thinks he got it, and I said to him, "How do you and maybe Tim? How does this happen? Is it just like drying out or whatever?" So he said, "Oh, birds drop stuff on it." I said, "Oh."
Well, he's right about that. Sometimes it can be a puncture, but mostly it's age and the materials. The membrane wears out a little bit, stretches, expands, and contracts, and sometimes finds an opening. If somebody, it can have there's tons of ways the roof can fail in small ways. So I'm sure it's minor.
Yeah, it seems to be. Yeah, so I mean, it's not the snow, it's when it melts.
Well, yeah, usually that's the problem.
It's it's when it's wet. Yeah.
Yeah. So I actually have a question. I forgot we had a payphone in the vestibule. I forgot it was still there. Does it get used? Do you know? It
Yes.
does.
Yes.
Okay. Because those are kind of expensive. In my recollection, they can be up to like 70, 80 bucks a month
Yeah.
to keep the payphone.
Yeah, it's relatively expensive, and it's more expensive if it's not being used, because when it's used, they're putting the quarters in and that offset. So if it's not getting used enough, but if we give it up, we'll never get it back.
No, I know
And-
that.
Because the
also-
company doesn't want us to have it. It's not worth their while.
No, that's why they charge so much.
Right, but it is very well used, and it's one of those things that is, it really serves a discrete population who really, really need it.
Well,
So,
there is some, just so you know, I don't know if it's still true, but there were some issues with payphones and public safety, and public buildings was supposed to be a requirement to maintain one public phone. And I don't know if that's true anymore. I'm going back in my memory when I was involved in the construction of a new building.
right,
And so there might be even a public safety issue regarding it, even if you were considering getting rid of it, because I'm sure it's costing us. We don't make enough every month to cover the cost, I'm sure.
right. So I would put it in the category of things that the Friends are providing the library. It's not a fundraiser. They're not making anything off of it.
No,
But
I
it's
get
a
that.
service. It's a service that the Friends are providing. And it really does, like I said, there's a segment of the population who really does rely on it. And the alternatives that I've looked into are not very good alternatives, not for the staff and not for the patrons either. It really is, even the location of that payphone is really kind of nice.
Oh, yeah.
And I see
Yeah,
people on it a lot, and they do business. Sometimes you can tell what they're doing. And there's space for them to write and everything. So it is, it hasn't outlasted it hasn't run out of being out of its usefulness.
Okay, my only thing is that aren't the Friends considering dropping it?
Yes. So
So-
I did speak to the president, and we talked about it a little bit, and we're going to talk about it at the next meeting, because I wasn't at the last meeting and it wasn't fully discussed. And so I contacted them and said, would you put this on the next agenda, because I think we want to talk about it. And if they, it's their funding, but I want them to have all the facts about it before they make the decision.
Do you happen to know if there are other payphones in the downtown area? I can't picture any, but
I don't know if
Right
there's
by the lake, right at the head of the lake by the gazebo.
oh,
I
there's
thought that one was destroyed.
Was
Yeah.
it destroyed?
I don't remember seeing that there.
I don't know if that one's still there.
I'm just thinking, is there an alternative to?
Yeah, Susan, do you know? Because that was near the,
They talked about removing it. I don't know if they've done it yet, but they were going to remove it.
I don't think it's still there.
When they put the kiosk up, they were talking about removing it. So I think they did.
and there was, somebody said there was one on Water Street. And I don't know if there's one near the train station. There used to always be sort of near train stations, and I don't know if there's one up there. But that was the other thing we wanted to find out, if there's another one, so that we could refer people to another spot. Which is awkward if it's, blocks and blocks away. We would really have to have something in the building, I think, to offer people.
Well, just before you drop it, my only suggestion is look into that public safety issue.
Okay.
Just, I'm not sure who can answer the question. Even Verizon might be able to answer the question.
Yeah, we might be covered by the fact that we have phones at the desk. But it might mean that, you're required to let people use it in an emergency. Okay, which of course we would.
That is an option, is probably less appealing with COVID as well, like having, I guess it's the same as using the payphone, but having folks use the staff phones would be.
Well, it's a little awkward too because they're at staff desks. So it's not even that it's just awkward for the staff, it's awkward for the patron too.
Yeah.
People are conducting business and you're on a phone right next to them. It's, it's not ideal. Because I know in the youth room, if children need to call somebody, they're not going to send them upstairs to the payphone. But we don't advertise it, and it's very easy to say to someone, you don't have to negotiate with somebody about where they're calling and what they, whether or not they can use this phone. You can just give them, which we often do, we just give them the money for the phone. We can just say, here's a few quarters, there's a phone right there, you have privacy in the lobby there. So it does have convenience to it. It's a little retro. But not everyone has a cell phone. And people who have a cell phone don't always have a plan. So they might have a phone, but it doesn't work.
All right, anybody else?
Speaking of the snow, is the library closed tomorrow, or
it's weird about being closed. We're always automatically closed when there is a snow emergency because we don't have a parking lot. So if you can't park on the street, you can't come in the building, which is kind of convenient for us. That if there's a parking ban, we just we're closed. But as it turns out, because we knew this was coming, we rearranged all of the pickup slots for today. So everybody got to pick up their stuff today. If they couldn't make it today, they can pick it up on Friday. But everyone was told that, it's not going to be a good day to try to get it tomorrow. So as a result, we will be closed. And I told DPW and they were happy because now our lot is not a priority for them. They can do other things and just get to our lot whenever they need to. So that worked out.
Yeah.
Yeah, how do you tell people you're closed when you're always closed?
Well, I meant for the pickup service.
Right. So it is, yes, we're closed for pickup, but everybody will still be working. We'll still, if you call reference, if you're online, there's still somebody there.
Thank you.
All right, anybody else with any questions, comments? I didn't realize that there was you could be a certified ukulele player. So I saw that. Holly's going to be certified ukulele player. Who knew?
It's certified to teach.
Certified to teach, yes, right. Certified instructor
teach.
ukulele, yeah. So we'll have to get a performance from her once she's actually certified.
Yeah, you can watch her on YouTube and Facebook. She gives lessons and she has different musical charts that so she's got a theme for everyone. And yeah, she's great.
Does the library have ukuleles or do the kids have to have their own?
We have 3 to loan and at least one is out now. So yeah, it's a great little program because you can borrow one and find out they're not very expensive. You can get one for $30 or $40. So you can borrow it. And if your children really like it, you can buy them one.
Okay. Well, I have a 12-year-old who loves both Holly and instruments. So
there you go. So she check it out and see if she likes it. And then, you just keep checking it out or you buy one. If you decide it's really something she's going to stick with.
Instead of Plaza Jazz one Thursday, we'll have ukulele night on the patio.
Exactly. It's
better.
Perfect.
All right, anybody else? Going once, twice. No further discussion. We'll have a vote. All those in favor of accepting the monthly staff reports. I'll go around the room. Roll call. Tim?
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
Amy,
Yes.
Adam,
Yes.
Laura,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Cindy.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. Next, public participation. The only one we got is Michael Kilkelly. Michael, would you like to say anything to the board, or are you just listening?
Nope, just listening.
All right.
Hi,
Well, feel
Michael.
free.
Hi there.
Welcome. Correspondence. I didn't see anything in the packets about correspondence.
No, nothing this month.
Okay. Committee reports, budget, anything further on budget, Catherine?
No, nothing's new there.
No, okay.
Oh, I guess the one new thing I would say, I don't know if this is legislative advocacy, but there's a 20% increase in state aid for this year. So if when the state aid is finally delivered, we're online for $50,000.
Wow.
Which is that I don't think that's been signed yet, but I've never seen a number that high. So that's really good news.
Didn't we have, I'm trying to scroll back on the budget, didn't we have a bunch of state aid left?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Did we clear that out with the RFID?
No. Well, yes. We
Yes,
cleared, that's what we used it for. We used some of it for, but in the meantime, we earned more. So what we spent, it's a new year, we've earned more. So yes, we have a nice amount there, which is, if we are going to have a project or need to do something, that's really, and the fact that we haven't had Blossoms and the Friends were not able to have a book sale, having that state aid is a lifesaver, because we don't have to make any other difficult cuts. We can kind of stay the course. So
I'm looking at the FY operating budget, November 30th, 2020 balance. So if I'm reading it correctly, we still have a balance in the books and publications budget of 155,000.
yes.
Right? So
Yes.
Is that money allocated already to be spent on certain projects, or?
The book budget of the 155?
Yes.
Yes, all of that will be
All
spent
that will go.
on books. And so when that says books and publications, that's all e-materials too.
Yep.
So that's databases and,
Yep.
things that are magazines, all of it. So,
Online resources.
yeah, it's not spent down as much as you would expect it to be at this time of the year. And that's virus related.
Okay.
We had trouble ordering books. They weren't being shipped out. But we will definitely catch up and use all of that.
Okay. Okay, anything further? Anybody on budget? No? Okay. Building and grounds?
Just
Tim?
a little bit of an update on the sign.
Okay.
I've still been in touch with Stardella Sign, and they're still pursuing a couple other vendors that provide them, the actual equipment. And so I would think by next meeting, we'll probably I'll end up putting some sort of specification together and start to get some official quotes on it. We'll, go from there. Okay, but nothing really substantial change other than we are looking at a couple other vendors and just to get some competitive pricing. It turns out that it's this technology, there's more and more people getting involved. There's more and more companies that are, providing the variety of equipment and that can do the same thing. So it's worth looking at.
Yeah. All right, great. Thanks, Tim.
Yep.
Friends. Who went to Friends?
That's
Yes.
me.
Okay.
So we actually already talked about one of the big items. They so to pick up from last month, they approved the request from Catherine and Jackie for a flat $10,000 donation to cover a variety of things. The one thing that they did discuss was the payphone and the fact that it's expensive, and more so now that no one's allowed to use it. So there was some question, but no firm resolution either way on what to do about it. But some question about is that still value add going forward? So we already covered that. They're pausing their donation collection until the spring. They want to get a handle on what they have in house. They want to make sure that they actually have the capability to store that effectively in the herd school, and so they'll reassess, I guess, in the spring, maybe earlier if they come across more space to store things. They've had a boutique book sale going on. They were about to launch that when they met, but I've seen some emails going out about packages of books that you can buy from them outside of the normal book sale. Let's see, they're kicking around ideas about some kind of virtual literacy initiatives they can do over the winter. And they want to present, this cracked me up. I've only seen this in movies, but they want to present the money to the library with a big oversized check, so they can put that on their social media. So I look forward to those pictures.
We did it. I'll let you know we did it, and I'm really pleased that they did it. I don't know why we didn't think of it sooner, because it really lets people know that those donations ultimately go to the library and they're significant.
Yeah.
So that was pretty fun.
4th of July
yeah.
Parade Committee's done that for years.
They do. Yes,
Yeah.
they do they do it. A lot of groups do it.
Right.
You see Savings Bank a lot, and I think that you don't think of the Friends the same way, that's why they exist. But still it's a visual, so I think, people see that.
Yeah,
Big
great.
check. The big socially distanced check. Socially distanced. Yeah.
Socially distanced is right.
Yeah.
Well, it is a big check. You could be 6 feet apart and both hold on.
Exactly. Yeah.
Cindy was there. Cindy, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
The only other thing of real significance was that the honey sale netted over $700.
Wow.
Right.
And that's net income. So that was very good.
Yep.
That's good. All right. Thanks, Jeff. Next up is Adam, according to my calendar, on January 7th. If you can make it, Adam. If you can't, the alternate. So if something happens, just shoot me an email.
All right.
I'll step in. Okay, gift funds. Catherine sent that around separately. Any questions on gift funds or discussion on that?
There was something technology related, Catherine, that you were thinking of having us expend from gift funds. Was it a question of it not being funded by capital? I can't recall offhand. It's a couple meetings back.
Yes, that was Tim's marquee sign.
Okay.
We were thinking about where we could, and it was just considered an option.
Okay.
That these trust funds could be an option. Because to Amy's point, that's also something that could probably be covered by state aid.
Sure.
That might be an option. The options will probably change depending on when we're actually going to expend the money.
Okay. Made a note. That was my only question about it.
When does FinCom start? I know the budget process is a long process. When do they start the meetings for the town meeting in April? Like, when do they start looking at it?
Looking at the budget?
Yeah, Dick, don't you go and present it to FinCom and then to town council?
Yes, and that sort of has changed a little bit how they do it. I now will go to town, I believe I will go to town council first. And then after, and within the same week, then go to the FinCom. The FinCom has it now and they have a subcommittee. So the subcommittee is looking at it now. It went through Kevin Gill, who's the town accountant. He didn't have any questions. I think when Kevin sees it, Steve sees it as well. And it followed all the rules that Steve had set forth, and where there were differences, I sent a note and got no response. So I think it was fine. And then Dan didn't have any questions and he sent it to the rest of the people on that committee, and I haven't heard back from them yet. So I think there isn't anything yet. But what could happen is that something changes at the state level. And I know that this year is a big question mark. There isn't anything that they can say with confidence, this is how it's going to be. So we're all proceeding with the information we have, which really isn't very good, but it's the best we have. So that's sort of what we're doing. And I haven't heard anything. So, and I don't know when the dates are on that either. So
Thinking as the pandemic is going longer than any of us ever thought it probably would last spring, and we did that $50,000 cut. I'm wondering now, as we're approaching the, the eyes on the budget again, are we expecting another cut, or are they, who knows where the whole town budget's going?
That's what it is. They don't know. There's nothing to indicate that it's bad, but there's nothing to indicate that, oh, we know what's going to happen. Everything's been delayed, everything. So they haven't even signed to the budget for 21. I mean, we're still trying to settle what we're this year, the year that we're in. So I think they just don't have firm numbers, but I'm always confident that, we have a seat at the table. We all have the same goal, to maintain and have a quality library. Jackie and I understand that we're supposed to do it as efficiently as possible, which we're going to do. So what you end up looking at is if there are real problems with the budget and there have to be cuts, I would probably, Jackie and I would probably put something together and then come to you and say, what are the priorities? What do you see as priorities? This is what we think we should do, and kind of, flesh it out. But at this point, it doesn't look like it's coming to that.
Okay.
All right. Legislative advocacy, anything, Cindy?
On the state level, the conference committee came out with their report on the budget on December 3rd. I believe it was signed by the governor on December 11th, although it's not up on mass.gov as finalized where you go to look for it. But I have the numbers because I got it out of the conference report numbers. And this was an amazing year because for the MBLC, all of their requests were met, which is very unusual. State aid for regional libraries actually came out higher than they had requested it. And Catherine alluded to the state aid to public libraries that would be getting more. It's $2 million higher this year than it was last year, is what they requested and what was accepted by the conference committee. So it should be momentarily where it's, anytime now that should be coming out as officially accepted on the state website. I don't know, maybe there's a 10-day waiting period after the signing by the governor before they do it. There were a couple little issues that the governor wanted to put in the budget that were non-financial towards the MBLC that I think were being ironed out before it was got the final rubber stamp. But that's it for adequacy. MBLC is suggesting to all public libraries that they spend their their books and publications money, so even if they're closed, they're like, spend it, use it. And they're going to be much easier on libraries this year. They've already mentioned about certification because, hey, who can be open?
Yeah.
So that's it.
Okay, that's good. That's good news. Okay, anything on personnel? No. Okay. All right, new business, personnel bylaws versus employment manual. It looks like from your report, Catherine, that this came up when you sent over your contract.
Yes, so this is a little bit like personnel.
Okay.
I sent my contract to Amy Forziati, who's the Human Resources Manager at Town Hall. And she told me that I am the only person in town who is covered by the personnel bylaw. And I can only say that my copy of the personnel bylaw is mimeographed. So it's been around and nobody uses it. But they've, since Amy took over as director there in Human Resources, they've written an employment manual. So it's gone through town council and they have an official employment manual. And that's what has replaced their personnel bylaw. So what I'm proposing is to, where it says personnel bylaw in my contract, to change that to employment manual. It won't change anything benefit-wise for me because a subsequent clause in that contract says that my benefits will not be less than those of other library employees. So my benefits have already matched what the employment manual has. And with this clause, and Amy reiterated it, it would not prevent you from changing those benefits. It's just you couldn't, that's the baseline. My baseline would be what the rest of the town has. So it adds consistency. It doesn't change anything that I'm already benefited. And it would allow them to actually go to the bylaw committee and eliminate that personnel bylaw. Because I'm the only one who's holding that up, apparently. No one had told me. I didn't know I was the only one.
Have they requested this change be made? Or
She didn't actually out and out request it. I said to her, if I'm the only person and I remove this, what happens to that bylaw? And she said, well, if we don't have it anymore, I would petition the bylaw committee to do whatever they do to legally, eliminate that, to have that not part of our bylaws anymore. So it seems like it's nice and neat and it makes sense. So I said I would bring it to this meeting. Do you want me to read you the paragraph where it was?
Yeah,
I have
I was
it.
gonna ask, what does the bylaw say? I have no idea.
Well, see, that's the
Oh.
funniest part. Yeah, what does the bylaw say? It's it says it tells you what your benefits are, how many weeks vacation, how many personal days, that you don't have comp time, which the library doesn't do comp time anyway. There's not really a lot in it. And I wouldn't say that there's more in the employment manual. It's just very clearly defined and it's consistent with what everyone in town gets. But it's just paid time off.
Is the employment manual though more expansive than what the bylaws? I would assume that it is. The personnel bylaws are, in terms of, they talk about do they talk about things like
Yes, but although it's expansive, let me read you what my contract says, because
Yeah, I have that.
my contract is limiting the reference to the personnel bylaw to only the
Benefits.
benefit granted by.
Right.
So it would be the benefits granted by the employee manual.
Yep.
So it wouldn't be the whole.
I see. Yeah. So the rest of the contract would govern in terms of like dismissal and
Oh, absolutely.
other things of reimbursement of expenses and professional development, things like that.
Everything's the same.
That's, I guess, my point. Yeah. So the paragraph in the contract says benefits. The board and the director recognize that the director is not covered by the town of Wakefield personnel bylaw. However, by mutual agreement, the director shall be entitled to the benefits granted by the personnel bylaw and the retention of current sick days plus accumulation starting at 97 days, such benefits not to be less than those of other library employees, and such benefits not to reduce benefits currently received or to be agreed upon in the future. So that's what the contract says as it relates to the personnel bylaw. So as Catherine said, yes, it's limited to the benefits granted by the personnel bylaw. So long as I haven't read the employment manual, but Catherine, you're saying that the employment manual grants the same benefits, or so instead of switching it out?
It's basically this. It probably grants more benefits. It grants 5 weeks vacation at 20 years, and it grants 2 days personal instead of 1. The personnel bylaw grants 1. But because my contract says that such benefits not be less than those of other library employees,
Mm-hmm.
if Jackie's contract or the librarian's contract says it's 2 personal days, that's what I would get. So so the library is consistent. Everybody's getting the same time off. It's just that the baseline is the personnel bylaw.
So
So
when we
now
say that,
the baseline would be the employee manual. But then those benefits would not be less than those of other library employees. So it in effect will have no effect.
so would the change then be that something to the effect of we acknowledge that the director is not covered by the employee manual, but the director shall receive, according to the employee manual, XYZ? Is that
That's the gist. I think that you
requested change?
Yeah, so
Yeah,
it's gonna say the exact same thing that it says now. It's just a different document. So
swap
we
out, yeah.
recognize that I'm not covered by the manual, but by mutual agreement, I'll be entitled to the benefits granted by that manual, plus the sick days that I had. And those benefits will not be less than those of other library employees.
Okay.
And they won't reduce benefits currently received or to be agreed upon in the future, which means that we could renegotiate it and I could have more, but the employee manual will be baseline.
Sure. Thanks for clarifying. One other question: who can change the employee manual? The bylaws, we know how those are changed. They're pretty hard to change. Is this something that someone in the HR can just come in and write over it with red ink and that's a change?
I don't know for sure. I think it has to be, I think it might have to go through town council. I think it goes from Amy through the town administrator, and he is working for the town council. So I think ultimately it's the town council who has to sign off on it.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that's true for non-union employees.
Right.
So yeah, all union employees are governed by the CBA, collective bargaining agreement, some collective bargaining agreement. So all non-union, as it relates to benefits, would be, and I would think that would, I don't know, would have to go to the town council for a vote. I think.
Okay.
Do you want me to get more information?
I would think.
Yeah, can I, just a couple of points. If it says you're not covered by the employee manual, I mean, by the personal manual, what are you covered by? And then going forward, logistically, if we change your contract, it has to be initialed by everybody. Does it have to be resubmitted to the town? I mean, what's the
Yeah, I would
protocol
have-
to, in essence, change your contract?
if my contract changes, I give it to, back to Human Resources because they're issuing my benefits based on what the contract says. So they have a, they have a
But
copy. of
before
it.
we submit it there, don't the trustees have to quote initial a change in a document and then
Yes,
resubmit your contract?
yes. If you make a change to my contract, you have to sign it before I can submit it to. Yes, you have the ultimate authority over the contract. So are you saying,
If it's in essence inconsequential, is that something that we do the next time around? I
Well,
mean, I'm open to, like Kevin said, get more information and see it, but
Well, I mean, I think to me, if that's the document that governs the town, then I think we should probably be consistent with the rest of the town and do it. If we have to amend the contract, we amend the contract, and we'll
Yeah.
just we'll
no,
just
I
sign
just
it
think
the way it
that,
is. Yeah.
there'll be some logistics to amend it,
Yeah.
which is fine.
Yeah. So I do think it's cleaner to have it consistent, and if there's only one employee with a bylaw that is sort of out of date, that doesn't really imply
Oh,
anymore. Then,
I think it's nice to have a
let's get rid of it.
mimeographed blue piece of paper.
yeah. So I would just do that, and then we can just whatever
Bring
the
it to the
logistics
next
are.
meeting, have it initialed, and then resubmit it back to the town?
I think that's
oh,
fine.
for right now, for what we would have to do now is if you agree to change the term personnel bylaw with the term employment manual, it's one or the other, whatever I wrote there. Then I will just send her the minutes
Okay,
that we voted to do that. And then the next time the document's constructed, that will all be attached and we'll change those terms.
okay.
But we can
So-
leave it on the one that's signed now.
So in that, so
Whatever
just
your
in
preference is,
essence,
Kevin.
where the proposal is to do an amendment to the contract right now. Correct?
Correct.
Which
Correct.
is changing the language from bylaw to employment manual. Is that
Yes,
true?
yes.
Okay. If it's a bylaw change, but then we're gonna eliminate you from the bylaw, correct?
Right, yeah.
So does that have to, is that gonna be, is that something that goes before town meeting?
Yes.
Is it a change to a bylaw?
there's a change to a contract. We're not changing the bylaw.
Right, the bylaw is gonna remain in play, just no one's underneath it anymore. So that piece goes away, but the contract needs to be dealt with, the legalities of the contract, which is fine. We can do that.
No, I agree with you there. What I'm saying is ultimately, if the director of the library is stipulated under the bylaw, then that has to be a change to the bylaw. We have to eliminate that.
No.
Or somebody has to eliminate it.
I don't think,
Eventually,
Because it's a reference to the bylaw in it that you put into my benefits clause.
Right.
But it's only a reference to it. In fact, it says I'm not covered by that bylaw. But by mutual agreement, I'm going to have the benefits that are granted under that bylaw.
So the bylaw-
instead, we're going to say that it's a different document, that I am still not covered under this other document, but by agreement, I'll be entitled to the benefits under that document. And by us saying that, the town can then start the process of eliminating the personnel bylaw.
I get it. All right, that's what I'm saying.
That's what would be done. That's more legal. That's, that has
Right.
to go through committee and it has to, whatever it has to do, that's the legal part of it. But for us, it's just removing it from the contract itself, the reference.
It seems like
Okay.
it's consistent with other town employees. I mean, there's
Right.
Well, either way, you're unique. Either way, you're unique about it. So it's really just the title that you're not included in. But I just, which is really bizarre. But I just want an assurance from Tom Mullen or whoever, that we're not technically taking something away, or you know what I mean? Is if it's an even swap, I'm fine with it, and then let them do the rest. But it's kind of odd that they didn't initiate that, like, oh, this doesn't exist, or that you just found out now you're the only one there. But
Well, if you look at the preference to the employment manual, which I just pulled up myself because it's right on the town website, in the very first page of it, it says, this manual does not supplant, replace, or modify any individual employment agreement or CBA. Where terms conflict with this manual, contracts or CBA control.
That's what I was going to say. I was going to say the document, the contract that we sign is the controlling document. So if there's a conflict between that and the employment agreement, the contract rules the day.
Right. So I don't
Our
think we need to
contract.
worry about talking to Tom Mullen. I think we can vote on
Yeah.
this tonight.
Yeah, I agree. I wouldn't, they're not going to tell us. It's really up to us to decide whether or not what the terms of Catherine's contract are.
Exactly.
right, but then I don't understand it doesn't really make a difference whether it's just wording.
It's just wording.
It's
It's just
wording.
We
semantics.
could leave
Yeah.
it the way it is.
It sounds to me, I think and I don't know when this was written, if this contract, maybe Tim, you remember, if this was written specifically for Sharon, but I'm imagining that the trustees at the time they put that in thought it was easier to refer to the personnel bylaw than list every benefit that they were going to, agree to. They would just agree to the personnel bylaw because that covered the whole town. And all these years go by and nobody's really paying many attention to this contract. And lo and behold, it's not the personnel bylaw that the whole town covers. It's actually an employment manual. So it's really only, it's reference to a document, a town document, which has changed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does sound to me like all we're doing is cleaning up in something that's just more ambiguous, and we should just clean it up. But I just thought, we don't have to do anything about the bylaw. That's really up to
we
the
don't.
town to clean
Right.
that up.
Right, we don't have to do anything, but I'm preventing the town from
You're right.
cleaning that up.
Exactly. So once we take you away from it, then they can move
Right,
to get rid of
right.
it.
Yeah, so, and they didn't even ask me to do this. I volunteered because I'm the only person who's holding this up.
Okay. Yeah, I think we should just, vote just to change that. Vote the amendment to her her contract, her employment contract. That
Yeah.
reference.
Yeah.
I'd like
And
to make a motion that we replace the term personnel bylaw with Town of Wakefield employment manual in Catherine's contract.
Second.
any further discussion? The only thing I would say is that, so what I would do is, Catherine, is because the agreement does say that this agreement may be amended by writing signed by the board and the directors. So we are amending the contract technically. So I think we do need to re-sign, and you have to sign again. You can submit, I think for purposes of getting the thing rolling, if you want to submit it to HR, you can say, the meeting minutes, they were approved. I mean, and then we can just go through, and if you sign it, if the rest of the board agrees, I'm happy to sign. If you authorize me to sign your names and sign it back, send it back to Catherine afterwards, once the agreement comes back with the.
So
with
do
that
you want
change.
me to make the edit right on the document when you and then you re-sign a fresh one?
Yes.
Okay,
Technically, you just have to initial that change.
Put the,
Well, you're gonna retype that. You're gonna put personnel bylaw with, substitute that with
Employment manual.
with the employment manual.
right. So, yeah, so I could just cross it out and you can initial it. And
Yes.
I'll attach the meeting minutes. And if Kevin initials it and you grant him the authority to initial it for the whole board, does that work?
That's what we did with the contract a month or two
Yeah,
ago.
that's fine.
That's fine.
We didn't have an authorization.
Yeah, that's
It
fine. I'll just
seems like-
initial it.
All right. So
It
let's
seems
amend the motion to give you authority.
So amended.
So
Okay.
Just a minute.
and to give the chair
Oh.
power to initial the contract on behalf of the rest of the remaining trustees.
The
Yes,
change, yep, the amended contract, yep.
yeah.
We need
Okay.
to go around and
Any discussion on that?
No,
Okay, Jeff, are you all set? I just want to make sure, Jeff, you're all set.
Yeah, I have a motion to grant Kevin Scanlon authorization to amend on behalf of the board the contract replacing personnel bylaw references with reference to Town of Wakefield Employment Manual. Does that capture it?
Yep.
Captured it.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so we'll do a roll call. Tim, all those in
Aye.
favor? Okay. Amy,
Aye.
Chris,
aye.
Adam.
Aye.
Susan,
Yes.
Cindy,
Aye.
Laura,
Aye.
Jeff.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. All right, anything else from anybody? That's all the new business we have.
That's it.
Anything that was not reasonably anticipated? Once, no?
Nothing
All
else.
right, with that, meeting will adjourn at 8:04. I want to wish, okay, second, Cindy,
Second.
Chris. Okay, thanks, everybody. Happy holidays. Stay safe. Happy New Year to everybody as well. And as usual, thanks for all of your good hard work for this year. That's been challenging, but I think we've done a great job of at least keeping our meetings going, and of course to the library staff for doing a great job. Jackie and Catherine, keep up the great work, and please let everyone know that the staff know that we really greatly appreciate all their hard work and dedication, and we look forward to a robust and different 2021. A happy 2021.
I'm gonna say on behalf
Cheers.
of the staff too, we appreciate all the support we get, both from the town and, today I was talking with people from MBLC, and I mentioned this to Jackie. We have a lot of support. We have a very supportive board, and it makes a big difference in the work we're able to do. So, I know you're making the big dollars for doing this job. so-
Right, we're going to double our salary next year.
So thank you.
First order of business in January.
Right, right. All right, thanks everyone. Happy holidays and happy New Year, to everyone. Stay
Happy
safe.
holidays, guys.
Thank you.
Good night.